I was looking at my own phone bill last month and something didn't add up. The total was about $15 higher than it was in the spring, but I hadn't changed a single thing about my service. I didn't buy a new phone and I wasn't traveling out of the country. When I finally sat down and looked at the actual PDF statement, I found 3 different charges that were basically invisible on the quick pay screen. Most people never check the line items because these companies make the bills intentionally confusing. They use acronyms and tiny fonts to hide the fact that your simple plan has become a collection of small leaks. If you are over 50, you are often the primary target for these quiet markups because the companies assume you have been on the same plan for years. They count on your loyalty to keep the money flowing without you ever asking a question. This is not about a massive corporate scandal or anything illegal. It is about paying attention to where your money is slipping away every single month. We are going to look at 6 specific charges that could be draining your bank account right now. I want to pay special attention to item number 4 because it is the one most people assume is actually saving them money when it is usually doing the opposite. Before we dive into the first one, if you appreciate these practical warnings for regular Americans, please subscribe to Better Deal Daily so you never miss a way to protect your wallet. This is not about panic. It is about paying attention. Most of us just want our phones to work without being overcharged for things we don't need. When you start looking at these bills with a critical eye, you might be surprised at how much you can claw back. Let's get into the first charge that I see on almost every bill I review for friends and family. Item number 1, device protection and insurance. This one looks harmless because it is often presented as a way to have peace of mind. When you first buy a brand new smartphone, the salesperson usually asks if you want to protect your investment. It sounds like a smart move at the time because those phones are expensive, but here is where the money slips away. Most people keep paying for that insurance long after the phone has lost its value. I noticed this myself when I looked at a family member's bill recently. They were paying $17 a month for premium protection on a phone they had owned for 4 years. If you look at the used market, that phone was barely worth $80. They were essentially paying for the entire value of the phone every 5 months, just in insurance premiums. This is a classic trap because the insurance charge doesn't go down as the phone gets older. The company keeps charging you the same high rate, even though their risk is dropping every single day. You also have to remember that most of these plans have a high deductible. If you actually break the screen on an older phone, the deductible might be more than the cost of just taking it to a local repair shop. The practical takeaway here is to look at your bill and see if you are still paying for protection on an old device. If your phone is more than 2 or 3 years old, that monthly fee is likely a waste of money. You are better off putting that $15 or $20 a month into a simple savings account. That way, if the phone breaks, you have the cash to fix it or put it toward a new one. The verdict for this one is simple. Check the age of your device. If it is paid off and older, skip the insurance. Item number 2, third-party premium services. This is one people pay for every month without thinking, because the names on the bill are often very vague. You might see a charge for something like premium support, Game Pass, or enhanced voicemail. Sometimes these are services you signed up for years ago and completely forgot about. Other times, they are added as part of a free trial that you didn't realize would eventually start costing money. I started noticing this on receipts when people would ask me why their bill was over $100 for a single line. We found charges for horoscope alerts and weather updates that were costing $5 a month each. These are things your phone already does for free. Most people never signed up for these intentionally. They might have just clicked yes on a pop-up window years ago. This is where the money slips away in small increments that don't feel big until they repeat every month for a decade. A $5 charge over 10 years is $600. That is a lot of money to pay for a service you don't even use. These companies rely on the fact that $5 isn't enough to make most people spend an hour on the phone with customer service. When you check your bill, look for anything that isn't clearly labeled as talk, text, or data. If you see a name you don't recognize, do not assume it is a government tax. Call your carrier and ask them exactly what that charge is for. You can often have these third-party charges blocked entirely so they never show up again. The practical takeaway is to audit every single line item that has a $sign next to it. If you didn't ask for it, you shouldn't be paying for it. Item number 3, the free tablet or watch data plan. This one surprised me because it often starts with what feels like a generous gift from the phone company. You might go into the store to upgrade your phone, and the salesperson tells you that you qualify for a free tablet or a free smartwatch. It sounds like a great deal until you realize that free only applies to the hardware itself. The real cost is hidden in the monthly service fee that comes attached to it. I used to think this was just a normal part of a bundle, but it is actually one of the biggest drains for seniors. Many people take the free tablet and then realize they only ever use it at home on their Wi-Fi. They never actually use the cellular data that they are being charged for every single month. I have seen bills where people are paying $20 a month for a tablet data plan they have literally never used once. Small charges like this do not feel big until you realize you are paying $240 a year for a gift. Most of the time, the store representative won't go out of their way to explain that you can just use the tablet on your home internet for free. They want that extra line on your account because it helps their sales numbers. It is a classic case of paying more for something you are already getting elsewhere. The practical takeaway here is to check how many lines are on your account. If you see more lines than you have actual people in your family, you are likely paying for a data plan on a device that doesn't need it. You can usually cancel the data plan and still keep the device. The device will still work perfectly on Wi-Fi. The verdict here is to look at your data usage for every device. If a device shows zero usage over the last 3 months, cancel that line immediately. Item number 4, the legacy plan trap. This is the one I teased earlier, and it is perhaps the most common way that long-term customers overpay. Most people believe that being a loyal customer for 10 or 20 years means they have the best possible deal. You might even be on a grandfathered plan that you are afraid to let go of because you think the new plans are more expensive. But this is exactly what the phone companies want you to believe. I noticed this myself when I helped a neighbor who had been with the same carrier since the late 90s. They were paying $90 a month for a plan that only gave them 4 gigabytes of data. They were terrified to change it because they thought unlimited plans would cost hundreds of dollars. In reality, the newer plans were not only faster and better, but they were actually $20 cheaper per month. The industry has changed, and data has become much cheaper for the companies to provide. However, they will never call you to tell you that you can pay them less money. They will happily let you stay on an old, overpriced plan forever. This is the kind of charge people skip over because they think they are protected by their special status as an old customer. In the world of cellular service, loyalty is often taxed rather than rewarded. You may want to compare your current plan to what is currently listed on the carrier's website. Do not look at the promotional new customer prices. Look at the standard rates for their current unlimited plans. Often, you will find that the modern plans include things like international texting or hotspot usage for a lower price than what you're paying now. The practical takeaway is to call your carrier once a year and ask, is there a current plan that gives me the same service for a lower price? The verdict is to never assume your old plan is the better deal. It is almost always worth checking. Item number 5, paper statement and administrative fees. Most people prefer a paper bill because it is easier to read and serves as a physical reminder to pay. But many phone companies have started charging a convenience fee for sending that piece of mail. It is usually around $5 a month. They call it a paper statement fee, but it is essentially a penalty for not using their digital app. I started noticing this on receipts when I saw a charge for administrative fee that seemed to go up every few months. When you combine the paper bill fee with the various regulatory cost recovery fees, you might be looking at $10 a month just for the privilege of being billed. While some of these fees are government mandated, many of them are just internal company costs that they have decided to pass on to you. This is a case where you are paying extra for no real benefit. If you are comfortable using a computer or a smartphone, switching to auto-pay and paperless billing can often save you between $5 and $10 per line. Many carriers now offer a direct discount on the service itself if you enable these features. For a couple with 2 phones, that could be a $20 monthly savings just for changing a setting on a website. This is not about the company being evil. It is about understanding their incentives. They want you on autopay because it guarantees they get their money without you scrutinizing the bill every month. However, you can still turn on autopay to get the discount and then manually check your digital statement once a month. The practical takeaway is to see if you are paying a surcharge for paper bills. If you are, decide if that piece of paper is really worth $60 a year. The verdict is to switch to digital if you want the easiest way to lower the total. Item number 6, international long-distance add-ons. This one is especially relevant for people over 50 who may have had children or relatives living abroad at one point. Many years ago, you might have added a special international calling plan to your account so you could call a specific country without paying per-minute rates. These plans often cost $10 or $15 a month. The problem is that many people forget to remove them once the person they were calling moves back or starts using an app like FaceTime or WhatsApp. I used to think this was a rare occurrence, but I see it all the time. People are still paying for a Mexico calling plan or a Europe discount, even though they haven't made an international call in 5 years. Because the charge is relatively small and has been on the bill for a decade, it just blends in with the taxes and fees. It becomes part of the normal price of the bill. This is where the money slips away because of a simple change in technology. Today, most people use the internet to make long-distance calls. If you have an iPhone or an Android, you can talk to anyone in the world for free using data. There is almost no reason for a regular consumer to have a dedicated international long-distance add-on anymore. It is a relic of a different era of communication. The practical takeaway is to look at your add-ons or features section of the bill. If you see any country names or the word international, ask yourself when the last time was that you actually dialed a foreign number directly from your keypad. If the answer is, I don't remember, then you need to cancel that feature. The verdict is to stop paying for old ways of calling when the new ways are already included in your basic data plan. As we look back at all these items, a very clear pattern emerges. The phone companies rely on inertia. They know that most people will just pay the total amount shown on the screen without clicking the link to see the detailed breakdown. They count on the fact that you are busy and that a $5 fee isn't worth a frustrating phone call to a corporate call center. But these small charges are exactly how they increase their profits without officially raising your plan price. This is not about being cheap. It is about being a smart consumer who refuses to pay for things they do not use. Whether it is insurance on a phone that is basically a brick or a data plan for a tablet that never leaves your living room, these are unnecessary costs. When you add up all 6 of these items, many people find they can save $30, $40, or even $50 a month. That is $600 a year that stays in your pocket instead of going to a multi-billion-dollar corporation. The goal of today is to give you a feeling of empowerment. You don't have to just accept the bill as it is. You have the right to question every single line. Most people notice these things far too late, or they wait until they are in a financial pinch to finally check. I want you to be the person who notices it now while you can still do something about it. Your one simple action for today is this. Log into your phone account or find your last paper statement. Do not just look at the total. Look at the account details or breakdown of charges. If you see any words you don't understand or any add-on fees, call your carrier tomorrow morning. Tell them you want to audit your account to remove unused features. You will be surprised at how quickly they can lower your bill when they realize you are actually paying attention. Thank you for watching Better Deal Daily. If you found this useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue to bring these warnings to more people. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Is there a charge on your phone bill or a different monthly bill that you recently discovered and questioned? Your experience might help someone else in this community avoid the same trap. We have a lot more coming up on how to navigate grocery inflation and hidden fees in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. I'm glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next one.